respects voters. And we have enough
HeartCity
voting power to change anything that needs to be changed.
Politics, progress, game boards, objects viewed like pawns till we change up our mindset. Value of the dollars at the center of this conflict, where lives only matter if they serve to make a profit. But if a midget sees further on the shoulders of the giant, then we should see further than the tyrant and build a future within alliance where success is our science in the quest to go higher. It's the heart of the city.
Welcome home. This is Kendall Chase, and I am your host here at HeartCity TV. I am so excited about today's show, and we're not going to spend a whole lot of time in some of our normal routine tonight. We're going to get right into tonight's show. So I'm asking everybody to go ahead and get your comfy blanket, get comfortable on the couch, grab yourself something to drink and sit down. It's time for us to get into tonight's show. You deserve it, is what we're just talking about tonight. You deserve it. You definitely, you divinely, you definitively deserve all that God has in store for you. So we are going after all that is divinely, definitively, and definitely ours tonight. Our guests are going to talk about just that. How do we get what should be already ours, what we should already be accessing? We are going to jump right into our prayer tonight. So I'm going to ask everybody, I'm going to offer the prayer for us tonight. I'm going to ask everyone to close your eyes, bow your heads, and let's have a moment of silence as we enter into a moment of prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, I thank you for this opportunity to come before you, come before the HeartCity audience, and just thank you for all that you have done. Father God, we ask that you bless the show. Let it be a conduit to what you want us to give to our community, to our audience. Bless our guests. Allow them the opportunity to share all that you have put into them. Allow them the opportunity to share all the work that they are doing on your behalf, Father God. I ask that you keep us all safe, watch over our communities, continue to protect us as we go through our day-to-day lives. I ask for traveling mercies is on my heart right now, because I know of a lot of young people, some that I am even overseeing right now, that are traveling to Vacation Bible School, and they're on my heart. And you asked me to say their names out loud, to say Vacation Bible School out loud. Father God, I just ask you to protect us, keep us safe from harm, and allow this show to be all that you have for it to be. We ask this in your mighty and matchless name. Amen. We are going to go to a commercial, and on the other side, I have the founder and CEO of Global Thinking Initiatives, Inc. This is HeartCity TV.
Philadelphia OIC fights poverty with education and job training. OIC will prepare you for a career with good wages. Learn about free training programs at philaoic.org or call 215-236-7700. We operate a safe environment with masks and social distancing. For a better tomorrow, call Philadelphia OIC.
Hey, look, I know you're worried about your commute, but I found a shorter route.
The difference between an agent and a realtor is real.
Less traffic, too.
Neighborhood expertise beyond the listing. That's who we are.
Yeah, man, I told you I got you.
Our next guest, Elaine Wells, the founder of Global Thinking Initiatives, which specializes in providing communities with resources around their access to healthy nutrition, literacy and education support, health and safety through crime and violence reduction, social and environmental justice through increasing access and opportunities to beautification, greening, and cleaning resources. Today, she's joining us to discuss her partnership with TreePhilly. Welcome home, Elaine. How are you
Thank
today?
you. I am blessed. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you very much. So, you and I had an opportunity to be in the same place at the same time perfectly. And we're standing across this table saying, I know your face
Yes.
to each other. And then the light bulb went off. And you shared with us an amazing opportunity that day. And we're going to spend a little time in that. But before we get to kind of why I asked you to come on the show today, I want our audience to learn just a little bit about you, Elaine, but also the work that you do as the founder and CEO of Global Thinking Initiatives. That is such an amazing name. I love it.
Thank you.
You're
That was
welcome.
actually Global Thinking Initiatives was actually a replacement for when I went to apply for my nonprofit status. The
Okay.
name that I actually wanted was taken, and I was heartbroken because I had planned for many months. It was
Right.
taken, and so I thought, you know, what I am trying to do for our communities can expand beyond the community that I live in, the community that I serve. It could be a global thing. And so that's how
Hmm.
Global Thinking Initiatives came about. Um, I started Global Thinking Initiatives from a push from other people, actually.
Mm.
I have been serving in my community or some community in some capacity for many, many years,
Yeah.
collaborating with other organizations, um, helping, which I think um, should be the basis for all service that we do
Yeah.
in any community, in any capacity. We should always be willing to help one another. And I think we can do so much more collaboratively because we're all trying to do essentially the same things. We're all trying to get the quality of life for people who look like us to be better. And there
Yeah.
are many, many great organizations out there doing it, doing the same thing. You might be in North Philly, I might be in West, and we can meet somewhere in the middle and cover a lot more people. That's
Yeah.
my philosophy. Um, and it just started out with um, just giving people what they need, right? I grew up um, one of four kids of a single parent who struggled.
Mm.
And I mean, we struggled a lot and we
Yeah.
needed a lot.
Hmm.
And, you know, there were places and spaces that you could go to get help, but there were always a lot of red tape. There were a lot of strings attached. We
Yeah.
might live in one place and the services were all the way across the city, and traveling with four small kids was not um, it
Easy to
wasn't
do.
conducive to exactly.
Right.
And the onset, I started my nonprofit right before the pandemic happened.
Mm.
Um, I was actually out of the country um, when they shut the country down. I got in right before they shut down the airports and everything. Like I came back that Friday, and the country shut down that Monday.
Oh, wow.
Um, but some of the things that came out of that um, was something that it some of the things, some of the disparities that people in our community experience became glaringly evident with the
Yeah.
pandemic.
Yeah.
Access to food, to healthy food, access
Hmm.
to a quality education. Now, these were issues before the pandemic, but they
But they
just
were
became
exasperated.
glaringly real.
Yeah.
Exactly. Um, you know, neighborhoods that didn't have neighborhoods that are food deserts and don't have supermarkets. And when you can't catch public transportation like you used to be able to get to food or catch a hack or however you had a way to get food.
And we might have lost Miss Elaine for a moment. but we're going to give her a second. Okay, we're back. I am just going to step in here. Miss Elaine, her work is just it's so critical to what we need right now in our city. So many times we are trying to, she's back. She can tell us herself.
The technology. Sorry about
It
that.
happens to us all. One show, I'm gonna tell you this little secret. One show, I talked to a black square where you are positioned for about 20 minutes. He had amazing audio and no visual, and we still got through, and our audience loved it. And so it's just life in this now time that we live in. So you were talking about the food deserts.
Right.
You know, you guys provide a lot of services. You are tapping into a little bit of everything, and you're doing it well. So you're welcome. You are well connected to Boys Latin, the charter school.
Right.
You are part of CDCs. You're serving on CDCs.
Community Solutions, CDC. Yes.
Community Solutions.
Awesome organization. Yes.
And you are also doing this kind of keeping your finger on the pulse of what your neighbors and what your community needs so that you can say, oh, I know a person.
Right.
And taking that into a more formal way, a more organizational, systematic way.
And that just goes to show the need for the networking and the connections with other organizations. It makes it all possible. No one should have to wait for services. If I know something and I know somebody that I can get you connected to today, rather than you have to search or go to another agency to find, that is the beauty of collaboration. Yes.
It is truly the beauty of collaboration. And so you have taken that and expanded that collaboration in a unique way. You are not just doing it in, I would say, the traditional social services, human services way that we know with food or housing, but also beautification, because you understand the impact of how we feel about our community aesthetically impacts how we treat our neighbors. Tell us about this collaboration that you guys have.
So I am a community partner with an organization called TreePhilly, and TreePhilly is the brainchild of Philadelphia Parks and Recreation and the Fairmount Park Conservancy. And their mission is to increase the green canopy by 30% in every neighborhood in Philadelphia.
Wow.
My interest in connecting with TreePhilly is to increase the green canopy intentionally and specifically in Black communities.
Yes.
Because we have historically, this is not a new initiative by any means. The greening of Philadelphia, there's a whole Philadelphia tree plan. And the greening of Philadelphia has always been an initiative by the powers that be. And our neighborhoods, for whatever reason, have always historically been left out of the opportunity for this free, mind you, greening, free street trees, free yard trees, the care of the trees. There's a tree tender program, a tree tenders program. There's a cleaning program, UC Green, the U City District, University City District, has people that come out and clean the streets in certain neighborhoods. We're not there yet, but we're working on it. There's an initiative on the 60th Street corridor where they started a program similar to that, where they take people from the community, give them training, they give them the opportunity to beautify the corridor, and they pay them. Right. So now they have a skill, they earn a paycheck, and they're helping their own communities. And so it started out. So again, these connections, it started out with me volunteering with UC Green.
Okay.
And UC Green is an initiative in West Philadelphia, and they handle planting street trees, free street trees in Philadelphia. And there's a spring and a fall giveaway for each.
Okay.
And, I wanted to get one. I had a brand new property in West Philadelphia. I wanted to green. It was the only little tree on the block. I definitely wanted to get one, and so I did. I volunteered with me and my grandkids and a couple of young ladies that I mentor. We went out. We volunteered with UC Green to do some plantings in other parts of West Philadelphia. And the one thing that I noticed while we were doing some of those plantings were the neighborhoods that were getting the trees. And not many of the people look like us.
Yeah, and I think that's important for us to kind of break up a little bit or kind of dissect a little bit. You know, Philadelphia is evolving, and so communities that once were predominantly Black and brown are now becoming they're hit with growth and gentrification, and so their complexion looks different, but also the services and the resources that they have access to has grown.
Get out of my brain, Kendall, because that's usually my spiel, right?
Oh,
that's usually what I say. When the complexion of the residents change, the services change.
Well,
I grew up in West Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And I can't remember a day when I saw police officers walking a beat to make sure that I was safe.
Wow.
Right?
And so I too am a West Philly girl, you know, and I understand like that difference between a 52nd Street home versus a 63rd Street home, that the greenery began again on 63rd Street going north up Haverford Avenue or Lancaster Avenue. And you are really working hard to make sure that those little streets, the Conestoga streets, the Peach streets are getting
absolutely the Allison streets.
The Allison streets are getting a tree, but not just one tree. We were at a Harvey's, A Home is a Right. They had their community event this past Friday, and HeartCity was a collaborator in that particular event as well. And you were there, and I watched my executive producer put a plum tree into his vehicle. It was so large that it had to stick out his window. And a man walked by so very jealous that he got the plum tree. Not just any tree, but the plum tree, because it was coveted. And, you know, I was thinking at that time how exciting it is that our community desires this, the, you know, the greenery. It's not something that's pushed upon us. You know, what do we do for the neighbors that can't plant their own tree? My executive producer is able to pick up that tree, dig his own hole, and drop it in easily. I mean, you know, with some restrictions, but.
So let me talk a little bit about, before I answer your question, let me talk a little bit about some of the barriers and the challenges. So while, you know, there were some envious residents who didn't get the plum tree, and we had a bit of a tussle over, we had one elderberry tree, one elderberry bush that was in full bloom, right? For, you know, that is what we want to see. We want to see our people actively and excitedly getting these trees, planting them on their properties, beautifying their neighborhoods and their community. But on the other hand, there were so many, and I made a point to keep account of. At the point when you all got there, I had already had 9 people come by who were adamantly against trees, right? And the reasons that they gave were very valid reasons, and I would never take anybody's feelings about why they didn't want a tree. But the reason was because the city 20 years or so ago planted trees in certain neighborhoods in West Philadelphia, and they were the wrong types of trees to be in residential areas. So these trees grew to be 30, 40 feet. They messed with power lines, they messed with roof lines, they tore up the pavements, they tore up the pipes, and any damage from that was put on the homeowner.
Yeah.
And later, after all of this happened, the city came and on blocks that were tree lined, even though they were the wrong types of trees, they cut down all the trees.
They did.
And so then you have a barren street that used to be full of green, and, you know, people got used to that environment, and now it's no longer there.
My 59th Street.
So there's yes, Kendall, yes. There is a lot of education that needs to be done and a lot of outreach that needs to be done to let people know that the types of trees, the street trees as well as the yard trees, are not the type of trees that was given without any community input
Right.
20 years ago, right? These trees have been curated to be resident friendly. The roots don't grow down, they grow out, and there are so many benefits to these trees. And also, one thing that I learned is that trees don't damage pipes that aren't already damaged.
Right.
Tree roots will only grow toward water, and if your pipe is solid and closed, it will not grow into your pipe. If your
so
pipe
we
has an
found that the
issue,
trees actually highlighted another
Yep.
issue, which was the
Yes.
infrastructure of our piping system
Yep.
in
Yep.
Philadelphia.
Exactly.
I noticed that you guys spent a lot of time educating the people coming to your booth. You were educating them on what tree they were selecting or what bush they were selecting, and the best way to not just take it from you and go plant this, but take it from you and help it grow. And did they have the right environment? You talked about what type of home, what type of backyard, what type of sunlight. Do you find that our city knowledge of greenery can be a hindrance to and our openness to this project?
Absolutely. We have been, and this is much like the public education that they give our kids. We have been given so little for so long that we've developed this, this resistance to when we want to do things in our community, we're met with some resistance, right? And it's warranted. We have been left out of things for so long, like Whitby Avenue. As long as I've lived in West Philadelphia, Whitby Avenue has been the worst pothole capital of the world, from 58th Street all the way down to 52nd Street. We're in that Baltimore Avenue. And as soon as the complexion of the community changed, they repaved the entire Whitby Avenue, right? And I have relatives that live on Whitby Avenue, and the first thing that they thought was, oh, gentrification is coming, right? And it's the same thing when you do anything around beautification. The distrust, the well-deserved distrust, is there, and that's something that we have to work on. So that's why we educate. That's why we make sure that we highlight what the benefits of these trees are. The main one being is to decrease the heat traps. Philadelphia streets, row homes, are urban heat traps, and the temperatures on those streets can be anywhere from 20 to 25 degrees hotter than a tree-lined street. And if your street is 20 degrees hotter, your utility bill is going to be 20%. Increasingly more, because you need to work harder to cool off your home. If you had a tree outside your home, that's providing shade and it is lowering that. That is a proven fact. These are statistics that TreePhilly and UC Green also, they make sure that they have these little information packets. And also each one of you, anybody that got a tree from us that day, or anybody that signed up to have a tree delivered, got a care packet, or will get a care packet about the specific type of tree you have, the conditions that it grows best in, how to care for it. And the question that you asked earlier about how would somebody who's not your producer get their tree. You did not have to take a tree with you that day. We have tree delivery. So the partnership that we have is we will bring the tree to your home. And if you need assistance or you require assistance in planting, that can be arranged as well.
That's awesome. I think, for me, I remember the stage where everybody was taking the old tires and making them planters.
Turning them inside out.
Yes, turning them inside out and making them the planters for the block. And
because even back then, people realized that beauty, everybody deserves to live in a beautiful neighborhood. I don't care what amount you're paying in rent. I don't care what your income
Yes.
is. I don't care how many people live in your household. Everybody wants to live and deserves to live in a beautiful neighborhood. And the
So
fact that these trees and this greening initiative was free and we still got left out of it is why I push so hard right now to be intentional
it's
about
why you're
getting them.
connecting our
Yes,
community to it. Exactly.
absolutely.
So those that weren't at the Ahari event, they
Hmm.
didn't get this opportunity that we got.
Right.
How do they connect with either you directly or with TreePhilly so that they can secure this? I saw on the website you can have a party and get other people. Like I was like,
Yes,
hey,
you can.
like a Tupperware
Yes.
party, like it's a tree
They
party.
are, yes, they are truly devoted into you know, being intentional about helping us green our own communities. And
Mhm.
the information, I think that the outreach needs to be a little better for us, right? I think we need to be intentional about sharing and spreading the word, which
Mhm.
is why one of the things that I do in partnership with TreePhilly is I look for any and every community event that I can attend, and I
Yes,
set up a table and I try to have the trees right there with me because everybody likes to take home something free, right? Not only did we give away plum trees and elderberry trees, we gave away these little nanny berry bushes that
exactly. And
sprout
I think that's
edible
what
fruit.
caught many people's eyes. You saw
Right.
the House of Emoji giving out collard greens. So people were walking
Yes.
around with like a little
Fresh.
bouquet of collards
Yes.
and a little bush in the other arm. And it was like,
Right.
where'd you get your bush from?
Right.
Um,
So they can, so for if you live in the zip codes of 19143 or 39 and you
mhm,
want a tree to be planted in the fall, we will bring it to your door. You can email
wonderful.
my organization at, and it's a little long, but it's global thinking
Mhm.
initiatives at gmail.com.
Okay. So I will make sure, Heart City family, that we post the best way to connect with Miss Elaine. I want you guys to get out 19139 and 19141. You said four
43
three.
West Philly.
Excuse me,
Right.
43.
Yes.
You
Black
guys
and
have this
brown
amazing.
communities.
Yes, you have an amazing opportunity. Yes, historically, our community has been left out, but because of the hard work of people like Miss Elaine remaining true to their mission of connecting and collaborating, this
Mhm.
opportunity is right there for us. We deserve it. We deserve these
We
beautiful
do.
blocks filled with trees. Again, I grew up on 59th Street, so I remember 59th and Master, and we actually had all of these trees. And I go back to my grandmother's house now, and there's no
Mm-mm.
trees
And I
on the
just want
block.
people to know, to understand and to realize environmental justice is social justice. We
It's
deserve
social
it.
justice.
Trees, reduce asthma. They reduce mental stress. Nothing,
Exactly.
nothing relaxes me more than hearing birds chirp in the morning, right? Our kids deserve that. Our kids
They
deserve
do.
shade to play in. Being outside is better than being inside on any given day, and it just makes the neighborhood beautiful. It increases the property value, and
Yes.
if there's shade outside, people tend to hang outside more. You tend to talk to your neighbors more, which increases,
Right.
you know, the commonality among neighbors. It's there are 1,000 benefits to having these
Having
trees,
a tree.
and I'm going to
So
get them there.
I would love
Yes.
for all of you, Heart City family, to go and check out Miss Elaine. Go and ask her, how can I get a tree? If you have a neighbor that cannot get the tree themselves, help them,
Mhm.
guide them through this process. Let's collaborate. Let's get tree lined streets all
Yes.
through West Philadelphia, the university area, guys. We have an amazing opportunity. Miss Elaine, you will be back at soon on Heart City because you are also a
I
part
hope
of an
so.
amazing group called Three Woke Aunties, and you do a lot of work around our educational system and making
Mhm.
sure that families and communities are up to speed on that. So we are looking forward to having you back soon. We're going to let you, take a little time and go away before we bring you back, but
Okay.
only because you
Yes.
too deserve it, that We should
Thank
give you
you.
a little break. But we are excited about all that you do. We thank you for coming on today. I am excited about TreePhilly. Guys, I'm going to give you updates on the trees that were planted from my family in West Philly. And, ask you guys to do the same. So if you get a tree from TreePhilly and you plant it in a few months, we're going to ask you to post a picture. Tell us how your tree is doing. Miss Elaine
That would be
suggests
awesome.
that you name your tree. So I'm working
Yes.
on my name as well.
Give it a
All right.
name. Yes.
Give it a
Thank
name.
you so much for having me.
You're very welcome. I look forward to seeing you soon.
Okay.
We're going to go to a commercial, and on the other side, we have another amazing guest that's talking to us about the things that we divinely and definitively deserve. I am looking forward to this conversation. This is Kendall Chase, HeartCity TV, and I'll see you on the other side.
How'd those fries you've been craving? I'm hot and I'm steamy, and oh man, do I smell delicious. I'm calling your name. Oh, Doug. Doug. And if you don't have the right auto insurance coverage, paying for these repairs may be tough to swallow.
Get Allstate and be better protected from mayhem for a whole lot less.
This is HeartCity TV. I'm your host, Kendall Chase. And with us right now, joining us, we have Davika LaToya. Davika LaToya is a relationship and family coach. We had an opportunity to chat yesterday, pre-show, and it was an amazing conversation that I was so excited to share with our audience. Welcome home, Davika.
Thank you. It's so good to be outside.
To be outside, yes.
And it's so great to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. So you are, and I thought, we talked about this. I was so excited because you weren't, and I don't want to say just a coach, right? But in a world where we talk a lot about relationships and healing from heartbrokenness and things of that nature, you weren't just dealing in relationships, but relationships and family coaching. Tell us a little bit what relationship and family coaching looks like.
Right. So for me, if you get to work with me, it looks like addressing all of the inner stuff that we don't often feel comfortable speaking about, especially within our communities, right? We tend to keep all of, the secret things a secret, we tuck them away, but we fail to recognize that it actually impacts the way that we maintain and introduce ourselves in relationships. So it makes a huge impact. So I help women and families kind of unmask those things and then now how to address it. Because more than likely, if you've been operating in secret, in shame, then you are now treating your family members in such a way, right? And so how do we bring back that wholeness? You mentioned about heartbreak, and that's kind of the angle that I take. I address you from your heartbreak, right? We got to identify where the heartbreak happened, either that be within a relationship with your spouse, or just any forms of relationship, because a broken heart is a broken heart, right? Regardless of who came in to inflict those wounds, a broken heart is a broken heart, and it does deserve to be healed.
So this work for you didn't just start as like, poof, I have an idea. It is a personal journey for you that you chose to then take and help other women. Do you mind sharing with us a little bit about that journey?
Oh, yes, absolutely. So
I
about
love how you put your head back before you started. Guys, I don't know if you know, but with girl talk, that's always a good sign. It's about to get good.
yeah, I'm not holding back. I'm going in. It's like, okay, we're letting go. But that's what happened 5 years ago. what I thought was, the relationship that was going to move into marriage. We were going to raise our children together. Ended up into, I found out that he had a whole different life,
Mhm.
right? And so I've never felt that level of pain
Mm.
ever in my life.
Mhm.
And I didn't understand what to do with it. Who
Mhm.
do I talk to? How do I even put language to these feelings that I've never felt before?
Mhm.
And then where was safe? Like
Yeah.
what I mentioned to you before, was that, the TV shows, the movies, and, the woman's out there lighting clothes on fire and stuff.
Yeah.
But that's not me, right?
Mhm.
And I didn't want to perpetuate a cycle that's not healthy either.
Mhm.
And I think that as Black women, as Black people, that we are capable of so much more. We are capable of loving to the fullest.
Yeah.
And we are capable of transforming the generations, transforming our families, and transforming our lives.
Mhm.
So from there, what I did, I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll go to therapy.
Yeah.
Right? I
Sounds like
will
the
go to
best next step.
therapy. Yes, but here's the thing too. When I thought about going to therapy, I didn't know that there were different types of therapists. There are
Mhm.
counselors, there are psychotherapists, there are, and the list goes on. And I kind of found myself in all of their seats.
Mm.
And when I allowed for now this buffet of help, I was able to tackle issues that I had no idea was actually impacting me.
Mm.
And so as that inner work began, I then found myself at a nutritionist. I found myself in a gym. I
Mm.
found myself opening up and expanding my community, my circle, my friend groups.
Yeah.
I found myself, taking day trips, going to different restaurants,
Wow.
wearing new clothes. Oh my goodness. I even stopped putting in my extensions. I stopped wearing makeup. It was exhilarating. I
Okay.
wanted to be with me. And as I was doing all of these things, I was like, oh my, I'm pretty awesome.
I want to see that.
Yeah, like I didn't know I had all of that within inside of me. And so the journey from heartbreak brought me to myself.
Yeah.
And once it brought me to myself, then it allowed for me now to rebuild,
Mhm.
repair, and start to, begin to have healthy relationships. And then that just spiraled into family.
That's amazing. And you know, we did talk a little bit about, the movies and the shows that are out and how we're portrayed when we're going through, or how some women actually that is the part of their journey. We don't want to
Yeah,
take that away from them as well.
yeah.
But for many of us, that's not, and so a
Hmm.
lot of times, because like you said, we don't have the language, we sit quietly and it eats
Right.
at us and it tears us apart. And instead of coming out on the other side of this feeling
Hmm.
whole, we come out feeling a little bit like Swiss cheese, I would say. Like, just
Yeah,
there's a
yeah.
wholeness, but there's a lot of holes too.
There's the
Um,
holes. Yeah.
I thought it was very interesting that you address the family as well, not
Hmm.
just the person going through. And so you are an educator, you're a therapist, behavior therapist, you work with children, and as a result, their families. So you
Yes.
understand the impact of family on child, child with the family and the adult. Tell us why you thought it was, so critical to add that to your buffet of services.
Right. Absolutely. And that brings us back to heartbreak. We all
Mm,
feel it. We all experience it, right?
yeah.
It looks different in our behaviors. It looks different based on our responses, how we even internalize.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the children that I work with, they had the same story
Hmm.
as myself. And I was a young mom. So I had a baby. And I was
Mhm.
like, wait a minute. If I can reach now the parents,
Mhm.
and if I can open up this is where all of this started for me. I started to not be in the closet of shame, and I
Yeah.
started to share my story. And I was
Mm.
like, hey, this is what I did. This is where I went to. This is now the result. This is where I'm at. And the parents were able to take that information, and as they started to go through their process, change started to happen within their children's lives as
Wow.
well. And the thing too is like trauma or healing, or sorry, trauma or heartbreak.
Mm-hmm.
It all stems to not being able to address what it
Yeah.
is that you're feeling,
Yeah.
right? And now that there's language, because they've opened themselves up to the opportunity to be healed,
Mm-hmm. So
it looks different.
you offer these amazing this path to your
Mm,
clients. You offer them the opportunity to kind of, I don't want to say right their wrongs, but there is an order, a
yes,
God divine order. And sometimes we
absolutely.
get out of order,
Yes,
I've done it so many times in
yes.
life. And I think he intends for us to get out of order, right? Like that's where the reliance comes in. But you
Hmm.
help people kind of find their way back. Would you
Right.
say that is an accurate description?
Yes, I would say so for sure. And I love that you brought that up because I said, I never want to be on a stage or speak to anyone, and then I walk away with them just hearing a story. I want
Mm-hmm.
transformation to always exist when you're in my presence. So before coming on here, I was like, God, what is it that I could actually impart
Mm-hmm.
today to bring about transformation, to bring
Mm-hmm.
about that lasting change? And you said it, it's about order. And when we are out of order, God
Yeah.
is so graceful that He takes whatever decisions that we've made and He makes it all work together so that we
Mm-hmm.
could get right back into right standing with Him. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and how we do that is through family. And
Yeah.
so I think a lot of times why we navigate this world without truly knowing who we are is because we don't always know where we fit in our family.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were to look at family as a vision carrier,
Yeah.
every member has a role, has a function to
Yeah.
move that vision forward. And
Yeah.
when we realize, oh my gosh, God gave me a quirky personality, it's so that I can make my grandmother laugh. Because
Right.
when she is happy, right, things are able to move and we get
Yeah.
together and we have these big dinners, then guess what? You may look or it may seem so small, but it is huge because
Yeah.
it is what propels vision to move forward. And so when we realize where we fit into the home, we're able to now get vision,
Yeah.
right? And others come underneath us to help push vision. And so relationship is at the core, is at the center of all of it. And when
Yeah.
you don't know how to do relationship, then our vision doesn't really go far,
Yeah.
right? It doesn't, it might go a little bit here, a
It
little
gets
bit here,
stuck.
and
It
then
kind of gets stuck.
right,
Yeah.
right. So one thing that I've done in my personal life, and I still do it with my family. Now we've kind of gotten a little bit bigger,
Mm-hmm.
or expanding these steps, but it is through storytelling,
Yeah.
right? Hey, mom. Hey, dad. What are your strengths? What did you always want to do when you were young? What was your experience here? What was your experience there? And
Yeah.
then you move and you go to your aunts, your uncles, your cousins. And then before you know it, you've got all this data. And you're
Yeah.
like, wait, I have that too,
Yeah.
right? And sometimes you're able to realize and say, wow, everyone in my family has that gift of hospitality.
Mm-hmm.
But in order to move this vision, maybe we need to find an outside source who has the gift of administration,
Right. That's
right?
awesome.
Right. And
Yeah.
and this is where we get to see people now as valuable. And we take care of the hearts of individuals because we are all moving in a direction.
Yeah. I
Mhm.
love that, you know, the solution to heartbreak is not just in this sense of romantic love,
Mm,
you know, or healing from a place of I'm going to get back to romantic love, but that just the process of relationships and learning how you fit into
yeah.
relationships, platonic, familial, romantic, mother child, all of those relationships kind of create this wholeness that, you know, allows you to feel full and valuable and purposeful, you know.
Right. Yeah.
And so you've taken all of this, you know, and you've not just said, I'm going to coach, but you've given it in a book, and you have a book coming out soon.
I do.
And
I
you're
do.
and see that kind of smile. I can imagine the family that has kind of been around you throughout this process. When they see you smile like that over your upcoming
Mm.
book, they know that they had value and purpose as well. So tell us, just as we get ready to close up, tell us a little bit about becoming her.
Yeah, absolutely. So becoming her was all the steps that I took
Hmm.
to get to the place where I am right now. And that is enjoying who I am, where I am right now. It's
Yeah,
not a final destination. So
yeah,
it's a book that you could constantly read over and over. And I
amazing.
use the analogy of climbing a mountain, right?
Hmm.
Many of us have never climbed a mountain.
I'm not going to. I'm not. I'm
You
going to
know,
be
maybe
honest.
a
I'm not
hill.
going to. I'm not going to. It's just not my thing. But I've
Yeah.
seen it done.
Right, right, exactly. And how it was birthed with that analogy. I watched the movie Everest,
Oh,
where all
okay.
of the climbers they put in all these years of work and money and everything just to get to the top of a mountain so that they can feel something. And then once they felt something, when they embarked back down into society,
Hmm.
they were not the same.
Got it.
And I am so proud of this. Um, it is it's an easy read. It's an easy read, and it just lays out all the steps to
Okay.
go from heartbreak to wholeness.
So I just want to thank you for coming on to our show. I know that you sent us a little gift to share with the
Yes.
Heart City family. So I want you to just tell our Heart City family just a little bit of that gift. It is going to be released on our social media page, our Facebook page at 8 o'clock this evening, guys. So if you're tuning in and you want to learn a little bit more about this journey that you can take, Davika has shared it with us, and we are excited to share it with you guys. Tell us a little bit about this.
Yeah, absolutely. So last year I had a conference called When Ruth Met Naomi.
Okay.
Again, relationship, right? You
Hmm.
talk to me,
Yeah.
we're all growing together. And so I took all of the resources from that conference, and I was able to package that um,
Yeah.
beautifully for you guys. Along with that is a bonus, which is the conference
Yeah.
itself. So there's a link in there that you could go ahead and watch the conference. And I hope
That's
that you're
amazing.
blessed from it. Yeah.
Thank you so very much. We're excited about what God has in store for you and your journey and how you continue to pour back into others. Thank you so very much, guys. I want you to take an opportunity, go to our Facebook page in a little bit and check out Davika LaToya's website. It is an amazing website. She has all of her resources there for you to explore, learn more about her services, and get on the list so that you can get the book as soon as it's released. I want to be on the list to receive the book as soon as it's released as well. Thank you again for joining us. And I cannot wait to have you back so that we can talk about the release of the book. We can get
Oh,
a little bit more
yes.
into that.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for
You're
having me.
very welcome. You're very welcome. Well, today's show, it was not filled with a whole lot of guests, but the guests that we had, wow, they were powerful and they were intentional. And they were really showing us the importance of going after all that we deserve. It is divinely, it is definitively, it is definitely ours. Whether it is a tree lined, aesthetically pleasing neighborhood that we've been told or shown for so long that we don't deserve. Yes, we do. Philly Trees has that for us, or TreePhilly, excuse me, has that for us. And Miss Elaine is going to give us the tools that we need to have that tree lined, aesthetically pleasing block. Or is it the path back to a full and whole self that understands their purpose and their position within a relationship, platonic, romantic, wherever it is, whether it's in your family? Davika LaToya, she has shared with us her own journey and shared with us some tools and tips. I want you guys to go to our social media page, go to Facebook, check out the gift that she's given us all. And that brings me to what I always say every single week. Please support Heart City TV. Like, share, subscribe to our show. Like, share, subscribe. You can't get any easier than that. Go to our Facebook and IG page and follow us. Your support is so critical to our success, and we are thankful. Thank you for allowing me in your home week after week. It is my pleasure and my privilege. This is Heart City TV. I'm your host, Kendall Chase. Go forth and do great things.